Hey honey buns, welcome back to the channel. It's your first time here ever. Welcome for the first time. I'm Mila Vanderbilt and today we are doing GTA 5 roleplay things. I am going to do a first impressions review of Seven Valley Roleplay. It's a GTA server that I just checked out this past week and I'm really excited to share some details about it. One thing I do want to bring more to this channel are more informative videos about GTA roleplay, and like just a kind of solving some of the problems that I have when I'm trying to roleplay, and that's usually finding a city, trying to create cute characters, and really honestly just finding a server home that appeals to my interest instead of me just trying to like fit into these cities that aren't a good fit. As much as I want to, I really do want to commit to being able to introduce a new city to you on the regular, but I honestly don't think I could find that many. So I am definitely going to try to introduce you to a new city every month. And if I can't find a new city every month, what we'll try to do is at least share some pointers or some tips of things that are in demand for cities that are trying to grow their numbers or trying to grow their communities, for like things that we're looking for in a city. But for today's review, I'm excited to bring Seven Valley. Again, if you want me to come review your city or check it out, remember, I really do have to like the city to spend my time over here creating a whole video, editing, and putting it up on YouTube. So I have to like the city first, and then we'll get into the review. What I'm hoping to do, instead of just general server reviews, I want to do a first impression review. I want to do a 10-day in review. And then maybe if we have anything else to add to it, we'll do a full in-depth server review. But for this one, this is just my first impression of everything that I feel after spending 11 hours in this city. Okay, so top of my priorities list. I know we go through different categories when I'm doing a full server review, but the top of my priority list, honestly, when I'm looking for a city, is the clothing pack. I want diverse body types. I want to see slim bodies, thick bodies, and super thick bodies when I go into a city, and I want to see clothing that fits all of those. I also want the clothing to be trendy and stylish, and I also want to be able to make my character naked if I need to. A lot of cities don't have all of those things, and it seems very obvious, but usually if a city has thick legs, they don't have the top to match it, and then if they do have thick legs, they don't have the clothes to match it, but sometimes they'll have the clothes and not the legs. One thing I had to say about Seven Valley Roleplay is, on a scale of 10, I might give this clothing pack a 10. Again, this is first impression. We're going to go through the next several weeks putting different outfits together, and I'll really have a sense. I only put together like 2 or 3 outfits today, and they were just to meet the needs of some of the roleplay that I was doing. So we'll see, but so far they're a 10 out of 10 for me, and that is hard for me to say. Y'all know I'm so tough on these cities, especially because I did check out Venus a while ago, and Venus to me was like a 10 out of 10 in terms of clothing packs, and I've compared every city I've been into since then to Venus. I don't know if Venus is still around. I'll have to look that up, but they had the best clothing pack I had ever seen. Now, Seven Valley has the best clothing pack I have ever seen. They have a ton of hairstyles, makeup options, tops, dresses. They have some gowns in there, all the like little sexy gowns that we like. And then of course they have a wide variety of leg options. So you can be as thin or as thick as you want to. They have a ton of heels and they work. A lot of these cities have heels, but they sink through the floor. These heels are working. And you can actually like take your shoes off and be barefoot. You can change clothing or go nude. Again, you might not need that or might not want it, but you have the option here, and you do have full bodies. So you can put together a full look on a body, which is so rare in cities. I don't know why people don't put in the full bodies. They usually only put in the bottoms, not the tops. One thing I have to say, even though I am rating them a 10 out of 10, they do not have that many tops for the bustier bodies. So a lot of the times I like the thick legs and the smaller tops anyway, because I feel like some of the bustier bodies look very like football player like. So it's not that body type does, it's the way it's executed in GTA. It looks a little harsh. I noticed they don't have a lot of tops. So if you do like the bustier body type, they don't have it. So I guess maybe we're not giving them a 10 out of 10. Maybe we give them like a 9.5 out of 10. But other than that, it is so good. And to change your clothes and to change your hair and makeup and stuff in the city, it's $100 at the barbershop, $100 at the clothing store. Plastic surgery in the city is $10,000. They start you off with around $96,000. So you can't just go blow it all plastic surgery. You are going to have to hustle a little bit to get up there. But the admins are really quick to respond. I know a couple of honey buns, a restart came along while they were creating their characters, and they were able to do a slash report and get a clothing menu very quickly. So they're there to help you out. That's the other benefit of joining a city while it's small, is they have the workforce to help you out. I guess the next thing I want to go into is maybe the quality of the server. So one thing I'm noticing about cities, especially cities that are not LA based, a lot of these cities like Chicago, I think I saw Miami, I don't know where else, not New York, because New York is always just a completely different map. But these other types of cities when they are not LA based, what they do, instead of having a completely different map or a custom map like New York cities do, they just have the normal base LA city and then they put MLOs all over the place. So what tends to happen is the bandwidth of that city gets a little shaky because it can't handle all of those resources in the city that are, one, just simply trying to change the city from LA to another city. But then on top of that, you're adding MLOs, you're adding characters, you're adding huge clothing packs, you're adding car packs, and it just makes the city a little shaky. So what I've seen in those type of cities, they usually don't have any type of NPCs in those cities. So they don't have locals walking around or driving around. It feels like a ghost town. One thing I am appreciating about being back in an LA-based city, we don't have those issues because there's not a bunch of like crazy MLOs that are full neighborhoods that are trying to recreate the city to look like another city. So it's not trying to look like Atlanta. It's not trying to look like Chicago. It is meant to look like LA. So any MLOs that are there are meant to be functional for roleplay purposes, and it doesn't feel like it's a huge resource on the server. Therefore, there are lots of NPCs, there are lots of locals driving around, walking around. You can engage with them, you can rob them and kidnap them, which is so fun. I haven't been in a city where you could kidnap locals in a very long time, and I had a blast doing it. And they're carrying all types of stuff that I think you can eventually also sell or utilize yourself. Another thing, the city drops you off at a really cool airport, probably the best airport I've ever seen in GTA Roleplay. I've never seen this airport before. It has all your necessities inside, so you can go to a clothing store. I think there was a barbershop in there. You can get your phone in there. There's a food store in there, but it's just a really cool layout that I haven't seen. I've seen a lot of airports in GTA, but I haven't seen this one before. And you walk through baggage claim, you walk past the shops, and then when you go outside, you can actually take a city bus to various locations around the city. They have a whole transportation system, and it's just really cool to hop on a bus once you leave the airport and make your way around the city. They also have a lot of cute little like airport emotes, so you can walk around with a suitcase and a phone. It was just so fun to do, and it was just such a like fun experience to be welcome to the city. And you know, once you get in there, I guess we can transition into what I think about the role play in the city. Even though it's small, and again, I am someone who is used to being in cities that have at least 200 people in them at a time, and that's just what I got comfortable with. I figured, like, one, my character can be chaotic. Two, I also grow exhausted of people sometimes, so I like to be able to just like constantly meet new people, which is what usually happens in cities of 200. But a lot of these cities that are heavily or just heavy on the gang side of things, or heavily catering to gangs because they know that's where their biggest numbers come from, and probably where a lot of the things that they want to tax or charge for come from, are from gangs. When you're in cities like that, you can tell that the roleplay does suffer a bit because you don't see that many people doing just like normal everyday role play. You tend to see people hiding out, ducked out on different various blocks, selling drugs, or trying to just kind of stay low key until they're ready to slide or whatever. In this city, people are actively out and doing stuff. Several businesses opened while we were there, mechanic shops, restaurants. I didn't go to all of them, but I did run into people quite often, which was a surprise. I ran into people at the hospital. I ran into people while I did stop by some of these places to get food or to get a car fixed, or even their mechanics were responsive and would show up to you. Like, there was just a lot of engagement and a lot of opportunity to meet people. And one thing I do have to say, even though I was new and I was like overwhelmed with all the people that I was meeting, I wasn't remembering everyone. So many people remembered who I was as I navigated around the city. I ran into a guy at the driving school as I was getting a driving test, which is also another really cool feature. You take a written driving test and then you take a road driving test before you get granted a license. And if you get pulled over and PD catches you without a license, well, in this guy's case, the police officer brought him to driving school and was like, get a license. So it seems like a really active thing. And also they seem to, I don't know what system they're using, but at one point PD ran my plates and everything and was able to find my character's name. So there seems to be some sort of system that PD is utilizing to keep all of that information together, so they're able to run licenses, registration. It was just really cool to see it all play out. But the roleplay was very natural. Someone did ask me if they're considered serious or semi-serious. I don't know. I don't know what they identify themselves as, but not a single person that I came across in the city broke character. The role play for me felt really realistic. So I know a lot of these cities like to label themselves as serious or semi-serious, and they're honestly just not. A lot of them are 100K or die with light role play. This was a role play server that I think has crime. And I think that is the difference, and that's always what I'm looking for. So I really appreciate that. So if I was going to say what my first impression of my first day of roleplay was, I would probably give this city like a solid 8.5 out of 10. Only reason I'm not giving it a 10 is because I just don't, there's so much unknown. I don't know what crime is available. So if I did come in here and I was looking for a crime life or a gang life, one, I shouldn't be able to find access to it so quickly or immediately on my first day, but I didn't see that much there. I didn't feel like the city was necessarily dangerous in certain areas at certain times, although it was because the locals, see, that's why I'm like, I don't even know if I can complain about that. Cause I'm like, I like there to be a little bit of fear when I'm in these cities. I don't like them to be all just pleasantries all the time and all everyone's happy and it's all kumbaya. I want there to feel like there's a little bit of danger. I want there to be a reason I shouldn't be walking around with $30,000 on me in a city that doesn't, where the economy is not super high. So I didn't feel like there was any threat in terms of that, but these locals are brolic. I got shot by locals twice. I think I'm getting shot at. Oh shit! Oh shit! And there was a threat that I could possibly lose everything in my pockets because I would have been sent to the hospital. But I think, you know, as the city does introduce more like organized crime, that could go up. But right now they're not there. I still give them a solid 8.5 out of 10. I think the role play is really good. I think the people, girl, this is what has been a surprise. This has been a different experience to me, period. Because usually I'm so used to flying into cities where you fly in, the men are unhinged and hitting on you, won't leave you alone, or don't even let you just exist comfortably. That was not the experience here. Everyone was so friendly and personable. Absolutely everyone that I ran into came up and said hello. They were just very easy to approach as well. People weren't standoffish. Everyone was so nice. And I feel like we've gotten a little jaded from some of these cities where people are just, where the energy is so off. The overall energy here was just so welcoming. Even if their characters were a little spicy, we came across a couple of sassy characters, but even still, you could tell this was a person inviting you into their role play life and like being another character. And I really feel like that's a valuable asset to have in cities, especially when you're a woman, because we are so used to getting harassed and berated all damn day that it was just such a nice breath of fresh air to be in a city that wasn't like that. Another thing about the city is very LGBTQ friendly. It is very heavily enforced that it's LGBTQ friendly. So you are not to come up in here disrespecting anyone in that community. You are not to disrespect women. You are not to disrespect their admins or anything. They do not tolerate disrespect. And like you can tell by the way they communicate with their community in Discord, you can see that and you can see it play out in the city. There are a lot of people that are just very comfortable being themselves and I absolutely love it. And not even from an LGBTQ perspective, but I was just so comfortable being a woman in the city, and that's not a feeling that I've had in a very long time. So kudos to them for even creating a community that feels like that. What did I go over? I've gone over clothing. In terms of character creation, I do have to say they don't have very many like great skins. They do have the standard skin pack. So you can create a cute character, because I did, but they don't have any type of custom skins in the city. So it is going to be just your basic GTA skin, like inheritance pack. That's just your standard. They do have good makeup though. So they have good makeup options. For some reason, lipstick color is a little off. Like it's not showing how it usually shows in cities, but they have lots of like eyeshadow, contour, highlight options in your makeup. They have baby hairs in different sections, so you can choose what to put it under. Their eye pack isn't my favorite, but it is cute. It doesn't look crazy or like a zombie. So I would give them, in terms of character creation, probably like a 7 out of 10. But the clothing pack, girl, they are redeemed with that clothing pack. I do not even really care. Another category that I usually go to in server reviews is how easy it is to get started. Like I said, this is one of those cities. This has to be the easiest way to get your life set up and going, because I don't like a city where I have to be handheld. Like I don't want you holding my hand through the process. I don't want you to have to give me a tour to navigate around. One, no one offered a tour, which I can kind of appreciate. A lot of people were offering like, hey, if you need anything in the city, feel free to give me a call. I hate when cities, like everyone just expects people who've been there or admins or someone to go out of character to give them a tour of the city. I feel like you should naturally be able to find your way around a city if that city is of any quality. Like I said, you land at an airport, it has all the things that you're going to need. The first thing that usually people look for in a city is a phone. You have the phone store right in the mall. You have a food store in the mall, so you have all your necessities before you even step out. You have $9,600 in your bank account, which in this city will get you pretty far. You also can take the bus around the city to any location you want to. The first place that I wanted to go to was the job center. You can go to the job center, get an NPC job. The only job that I did was the gardening job. Their delivery job didn't work. Like, it wasn't easy. I can't figure out how to do this delivery job. This is the second city that I've seen with this exact system, and I can't figure it out. The gardening job, super easy. I think, you know, you go around cleaning up a couple of things around the golf course, and you make, I think, 1,500 for every 6 little things you pick up. So you pick up 6 things, you go cash out, you get 1,500, you go do it again, 1,500 again, and it really only takes like a couple of minutes. So you could stack up your money that way. If you're a girl in the city, you can sell bundles, but you do need to get a plug. You need to meet someone who knows the code, I think they say, so you can have access to the bundle sales. Me, I didn't get that code yet, but I just met a girl who had some bundles, and she gave me those bundles so I could sell those. It's actually the girl who ended up giving me a job. So that's very easy. So one, you're going to be able to make money either through NPC jobs, finding those bundles, or just jobs. A lot of their businesses are very active. I was offered a job at 2 restaurants that I visited. When I first flew in, I met 2 separate people who one owned a mechanic shop, another one owned 2 different restaurants. There are a lot of people who own businesses here because they have a lot of businesses available. And from what I'm seeing, I don't know the process of starting or buying a business or what that is, but I haven't seen real life money come into play with any of these things yet. I will just have to go through it a little further, I guess, to find out how to start a business. I don't know what it is. Okay, it looks like, so I'm just pulling up the price list. Your first payment is $60 to buy a business, and then recurring is $20 a month after your first 30 days. MLOs, you can either, for a home, an MLO home, you can buy with in-game cash, or you could do $60 and then a recurring $20. I don't know how that could be preferred. One-on-one cars, $75. Custom chains, body tattoos, or any one-of-one items, $75. Someone also gave her $100,000 like very quickly. We know a lot of people are very like friendly like that, especially if they've been in the city a long time and they've like racked up money. Sometimes you'll just come across people that give you money. So I don't think money is hard to come by, and also things just aren't that expensive. I got a car for my character for $25,000, which you could just make doing NPC jobs, and the welfare is like $200 every 15 minutes. So you could just like stack up in there. And like, as long as you're not rushing, I appreciate cities where you don't need to rush, or you don't feel rushed to be a millionaire immediately. You can kind of have a story and have some progression. So I think just appreciate that about the role play. I think it is something that I enjoy. Maybe you don't like that, but I think it makes it a more realistic and more memorable experience to get acclimated in the city, and it makes it a little easier to get started. So yeah, like I said, there were bikes that are $500 that can get you around the city. Of course, you can steal cars. There's no like special way to do it. If you can steal a car that's driving by pulling the character out of the car. Cars that are parked, you do have to break the glass. I think that does notify PD. There was a rental app. There was also a taxi app that I didn't test out. So those are things I still have to test out. But there were also some cars for like $10,000 to $12,000. I just want an actual like real type car. I think I ended up getting a Volkswagen Beetle, and it was so cute, but you can get a cheaper car. I also got a house. All I had to do is join a Discord, submit a ticket for what I was looking for. I didn't come in here and say that I wanted $1 million mansion when I only had like $70,000 in the bank. So I submitted something for the South Side with a small, simple interior, and they responded to my ticket very quickly. They were in city, so I was able to meet up with them very quickly. They had everything set up. I was able to walk in and preview the apartment, make sure things were good, and we were good to go. Also give me their in-game number so I can also forward that to anyone that I have joining so they can completely go in-game. If you're not someone who likes to submit tickets through Discord, you don't have to. You can like find a connection in-game, which I appreciated, like having both options, because some people, usually I'm that person that hates submitting tickets for anything. So that was really useful, and it was really easy to get set up. My house ended up being $25,000, so I paid $25,000 for the car, $25,000 for a house, which is a cute interior. I think we're just set up. So in terms of getting started, that's just I feel like I'm just set up for success already in the city, and all I have to do is meet people, find more things to do. I have not even scratched the surface of exploring all the different things you can do. I do want my character to eventually go down the route of chaotic crime, but I don't want it to be like the first thing, and I don't want to feel overwhelmed and forced into it, which I feel like a lot of these gang cities are like. So this is just a nice breath of fresh air, y'all. I cannot even. In terms of how streamer friendly it is, like I said, no one was breaking character. There were no like fail RP incidents. There's not a lot of gang activity. The owner was in chat and we asked him about the gang situation. There are currently no formed gangs, but they have opened it up to start accepting gangs. So people are beginning to formulate gangs. I did see some sort of organization happening. Like I don't think I mentioned this here, but I did overhear, because girl, I was around eavesdropping everywhere. I did overhear these two guys talking about, like, they were talking about drugs. You could tell, but they were being like subtle about it because they were in a public space. And I was like, I think that's so smart. I hate in cities when people are like, oh, where I get drugs from, where I get guns from, and they're just telling them. And I'm like, these people were discreet. You could tell what they were talking about, but they weren't saying it. And some people did have matching chains on. So I could see that they are starting to go towards gangs, but it does feel like they've spent the time setting up the rest of the city first, and now they're kind of welcoming this gang presence. And I just think cities that do it that way end up being so much better in the long run for your overall role play. And those are the cities that I think can claim to be serious role play, because if you're just focused on the gangs, you're 100K or die with some light role play. Stop playing. But this one definitely was set up for some good role play. Also, I don't know where it came from, but like the owner and a lot of people from the stream, some of their admins popped into the stream as we started streaming in the city. So one, I just think it's so appreciated as a streamer for someone involved with a city to take the time to come and say something in your stream, whether it's welcoming you or welcoming your community. Like, y'all don't understand, the smallest things can have such a big reward, because I feel so welcomed in the city and so appreciated already that I don't mind going out of my way to tell my Instagram or tell my Discord or tell on stream people to join the city and encourage people to do it. I think just like a little bit of slight appreciation from anyone involved in the server goes a very long way with streamers. And I know some cities are huge. Of course, huge cities, that's not always going to happen, where you have streamers that have millions of followers that are in there with like 75,000 people watching. But most of the cities in GTA Roleplay, a lot of the people that watch my content that own cities, y'all aren't them. You don't have a bunch of streamers with millions of followers in your cities where you don't need to make any effort. A lot of you have people around my size with, 5K over on Twitch and 20K over here, and like 100 to 150 people in chat, where even you showing up and just being welcoming makes us feel very just welcomed and comforted, and like just comfortable sharing your community with our community, encouraging our community to come find space there. And it can go a long way for what your goals are as a city. And it just feels like a two-way street. It doesn't feel like, I don't know, it feels like a two-way street. Because a lot of times these servers, it just feels like we're doing a whole lot of free marketing and you guys are charging our viewers out of the ass and making money off of us. But when it feels like you're also supporting on this side, even if it's a view, even if it's a few comments, even if it's just a welcome, it feels like it just feels better. A lot of y'all need to take note. And I know the city owner is a streamer themselves, so I think that's where some of that comes from. But yeah, I didn't figure out the crime. I don't know if I've mentioned yet, because I've been just ranting on here for like 10 minutes, but 23 minutes. Oh shit. In terms of crime, they do have different heists that you can do. You can do clothing store robberies. You can rob NPCs. They brought up, I think you can rob banks. And I forget the other things. I don't think convenience stores, or I haven't figured out how to do it quite yet. I thought it could be something I could just go in there and figure out. So I haven't figured all that stuff out. I'm going to keep an eye on it. Like I said, there's not a big gang presence here, but honestly, I feel like this city, once they introduce gangs, is going to be unstoppable. They are going to be a solid roleplay city that is diverse enough for everybody's interest. Right now, I do think it is pretty heavy on the girl. Like, I think the girls are outnumbering the guys, and maybe that's why the comfort is there. But I think, of course, as they grow and diversify, I hope they keep that same energy. I really have faith that they will, because it seems like they're very serious about making sure this is a community that's welcoming for everyone. So if you are a normal man who doesn't think you can just come in a city and be super homophobic or completely sexist, but you like serious role play and you want an opportunity to maybe be able to fully like build out a gang or start a business or do something serious in the city, I think this is a good opportunity. It just don't come in here on no bullshit, y'all. One thing though I gotta say, because I know I'm over here talking about rainbows, everything's perfect. Of course, this is the first impression. All cities look good in the immediate, like in the beginning. I'm gonna try this role play in here for 10 separate days, and after I've been in the city, flown in 10 days, I'm gonna do another review and see what our 10-day review is. That's the kind of format I want to use going forward, because usually what happens is I start to actively roleplay in a city and I'm like, oh, I don't want to review them anymore. But my first impression was very positive, so I'm just gonna check back in 10 days. But one thing I gotta say, child, I have never felt a case of like stolen identity stronger in the city before. So one, the first girl we meet, of course, this coincidence. Her name's Honey. She goes by Honey Bun on Twitter. Y'all know we call our community Honey Buns. Everything is Honey Bun this, Honey Bun that. Every time I'm talking in the city to people, I'm like, these are my honey buns, these are my girls. So that was just a funny coincidence. We were like, oh my gosh, she's a honey bun, we love her, she's one of us. The second thing that popped up is their real estate company, because when I went to go apply for a house, I noticed their real estate was called Vanderbilt Estates, and not Vanderbilt like the family, the real Vanderbilt family, and not Vanderbilt like the university, but Vanderbilt like I spell it. So it's Vanderbilt Estates, which was just funny to see because we've been role playing for years, heavily in the real estate space, primarily in Second Life, and we've always had a Vanderbilt Estates, and we've always had Vanderbilt Realty. So it was just weird to see. And usually when I go into role play cities, I start a business called the Vanderbilt in somehow, or in some way. The thing about my character, her last name is Vanderbilt, but what we usually do is she's supposed to be before my Second Life character. So her story, she tried to kill her whole family. She's like running away from it. She's going by Vander Woodson, so people don't easily find her just in case they want to come back from her past. Eventually, when she's a little comfortable in the city and more acclimated, she does end up revealing her last name is Vanderbilt. So it was very weird seeing all this shit was Vanderbilt this, Vanderbilt that. And then people start getting thrown off by my name being Vander Woodson. And they're like, oh, you're going to run into some problems with the Vanderbilt family. Pardon? And like I said, I was invited to the city by the owner. At some point, they knew we were all sharing the same last name. But apparently, this is a feisty family that gets very territorial with my name. So we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, they got a whole family with my name. They have named the city's real estate after me. And at the end of the day, if I start a business here, it's going to be the Vanderbilt, because that is what we name all of our businesses in every single GTA city. There's also someone named Adonis here, which is funny because that's like my sis in roleplay. That's like my BFF. So we were like, there's Honey Buns, there's Vanderbilts, there's fake Adonis. Although Adonis was super nice in the city. It was just a funny, weird coincidence. And there was something else. I can't remember what it was. Of course, everybody has pink hair. There was just a whole lot. There was a whole lot of. So that's my red flag. There are too many Vanderbilts walking around the city. And there ain't no way y'all ain't know who I was. Sorry to say. There just ain't no way. I know too many people in the server already. I just feel like y'all didn't think I was gonna come prancing on into the city. Anyway, overall, I do like the server. I think overall first impressions, it's a very solid like 8.5 out of 10. I do think there's a lot of potential and room to grow. Of course, it's on the smaller side for cities that I usually role play in because I don't know. But I mean, I guess I shouldn't look at that as a negative thing because I did find more role play in this one day that I have in a lot of these bigger servers that I've been in for weeks outside of harassment. So I guess I need to start giving some of these smaller cities a chance, but it was nonstop. We didn't have a dull moment at all in the day. I do think there's growing opportunity for more gang activities. I would love to see some of these like real dangerous neighborhoods really feel dangerous because there's heavy gang activity, but not out of control, not 100K or die, just like presence. It's very easy to get weapons too. But I would love to see that. I would love to see what they're going to do about bringing big guns in and like serious drugs and diverse drugs or pimp jobs and see how the crime is going to be organized, because I may just slide my ass on in here and get myself a little gang. We don't ever do that often, but we might see how it is, especially at this early stage. So I'm optimistic about it. I enjoyed my day here. Thank you guys for inviting me. Thank you for being very gracious to getting our honey buns whitelisted in there so quickly. I'll keep you posted. I'm going to be streaming live on Twitch on Tuesdays and Fridays for sure. Am I broken? But anyway, Tuesdays, Fridays for sure, and then randomly throughout the week. So just keep an eye on Instagram or on Twitch. I always make sure the schedule's up there before I go live. Turn on notifications on your mobile on Twitch, and if not, there's a Chrome extension that you could do so you can get notified even if you're not necessarily logged into Twitch or have it open. And then we'll see what we do about getting season 3 of Becoming Mayhem over here. I'm trying to wrap up season 2. But I can't quite figure it out because I ran into some editing errors very early in that season. So you guys on YouTube, unless you've been over on Twitch, you haven't missed a whole lot of the story. But I'll try to get that up here. I'll try to get caught up. But again, just come hang out on Twitch if you want to keep up with me live and keep up with my roleplay and the story over there. And if you want to see any other type of tutorials for GTA roleplay or anything more about servers or any questions about this server, drop it in the comments, please. One, your comments can help a ton for me to keep producing videos like this, and two, it'll just help me know what you guys really need in terms of getting into roleplay or even being entertained. So let me know what you want to see, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.
Shawty gon' check that, bang that, drop that, hit that, pack that, kick that, send that, flip that. Hey, hey, whoa, whoa, whoa. tratando de controlarme. No me quiero ir al infierno, pero ellos quieren llevarme. Hey, look.